out of the Big Apple. For more, we say hello to our senior reporter, Tim Bontemps. Tim, what's happening in New York?
Well, Malika, we talked before about the Jose Alvarado trade and what his role would be in New York. His role will be to replace Miles McBride in the rotation for a pretty significant period of time here. He's going to have a procedure done later this week on a core muscle injury. Could keep him out for an extended period. Miles has been a very important part of New York's rotation, coming off the bench, playing with Jalen Brunson in their front court as a shooter. Jose Alvarado is obviously a different kind of player. He's more of an attacker, getting in the paint. He's a pesky court Alvarado move that he has perfected, getting steals in the backcourt. But I think you're going to see him and Tyler Kolek come off the bench and play in a similar way to the way that Deuce McBride and Tyler Kolek have over the past several months. So obviously the Knicks losing McBride, a key piece. We'll see if they can get him back in time for what they hope will be a long playoff run. But getting Alvarado in the mix as a veteran guard to have in Mike Brown's rotation is a guy that can plug and play right away, probably potentially as soon as Friday when they have a huge showdown with the Detroit Pistons atop the Eastern Conference standings.
And Deuce McBride, our Vincent Goodwill is reporting that it is unknown right now whether or not he will be available for the playoffs. Tim Bontemps, thank you very much for that insight as we say hello to our senior writer, Ramona Shelburne, who's back with us. Okay, so Deuce McBride out, Jose Alvarado in. What's the state of the Knicks right now?
Look, they've won 8 in a row. I mean, they're doing great.
Yeah.
And so they had a rough patch right there. Jalen Brunson calls this team meeting. They all decide, look, we're going to have to find the answers for ourselves. Like, we don't need to look to anybody else to find answers. And they've just buckled down and got it going here. So I think this is a good – you can't lose Deuce McBride, right? Like, and not replace him with Alvarado. You know New York, Perk. How well is Alvarado going to play in New York?
Oh, he's going to be a fan favorite.
Oh, my goodness.
He's going to be a fan favorite.
So for you, Coach, how are you looking at this with the Knicks?
Yeah. Well, I think Jose is a big pickup. You know, obviously Christ the King, playing in front of that crowd. The crowd's going to love him. He's going to be picking up full court. And let's understand the why. I learned that when I first got in the league. Understand why you win, why you lose. They were 2-9, Perk and Kenny, because they weren't guarding anybody. Yeah. They've won 8 games in a row now. We saw a great game last night. Reigning clutch player of the year in Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns having a great year rebounding the ball. But the reason they've won is their defense. Mm-hmm. And you're adding a guy with Miles McBride being out. Jose Alvarado is a guy that teams and players hate playing against because he's going to be in your jockstrap. He's going to be picking you up 94 feet, making you feel him. Really good acquisition. Mike Brown will find a way to get him going right away. But I love how the Knicks are playing. They have Jalen Brunson. We know what he's capable of, and expect them to make a lot of noise this postseason.
Well, I know we're old because the jock shop doesn't exist anymore.
You remember.
We're old, man. But anyway, I will tell you this. If you look at what the New York Knicks, the best thing that happened to the New York Knicks is there was no Giannis trade. Because what Giannis would have did is he would have changed the trajectory of what everyone else could have been in the Eastern Conference. And so since that has not happened, at least with 1 hour to go, the Miami Heat aren't Barrett. You know, we can go down the list. And maybe even if the trade had gone to the Knicks, they might not have been better. They might have just been parallel. And so now I think that the best thing that the Knicks are happening, they remain the top of the heap because Giannis has not moved.
The apple is right in the Big Apple. When you talk about complete rosters.
You said the apple is ripe or right?
He said ripe, I think.
I said right.
Okay, the apple's
so nice and ninja twice.
I've been in Texas. I know the Texas. I know that slur.
You also
you've
been down in Beaumont too.
No doubt, Beaumont, of course.
Here's the thing, right? They have the most complete roster in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. When you look at from top to bottom. You talk about Karl Anthony Towns, but now him and Mitchell Robinson, Big Mitch, they find their niche, right? Rotating minutes, and Mitch did an outstanding job guarding Jokic last night, especially when Cat got in foul trouble. But I'm looking at their bench, and I look at those non-Jalen Brunson minutes. And now you add Jose and then Kolek. Like, they're being able to stay in the thick of things. When last year you take Jalen Brunson out the game and everything will go left. Now all of a sudden you got that guard play where you just being able to sustain. And so when you look at that roster from top to bottom, the Knicks have no excuse whatsoever not to get to the NBA Finals. When you talk about having two-way players at the wing position, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, what are they lacking? I'm asking, what are they lacking? What are the Knicks missing? Nothing.
And the one guy you didn't mention, we talked about last night, Landry Shamet.
Oh,
another guy off the bench who's really proven to be a key piece to that team. scoring, offense, playmaking, veteran player that's helping that bench out tremendously.
Well, Knicks are looking to make their first finals since 1999. We're under an hour away from the NBA trade deadline. And Kenny, you mentioned that the Knicks maybe benefited from a certain big domino not moving, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen because our Shams Charania reporting that the Milwaukee Bucks, they have pivoted. They have moved on from trading Giannis ahead of the deadline. And so they're keeping him on this roster. They're making other moves to try to fortify this team for now around Giannis. So for more on Milwaukee, let's bring in our reporter, Jamal Collier, who covers this team for us day in and day out. Jamal, now that we know that Giannis, he's staying past the trade deadline, what is the outlook here for this Milwaukee Bucks team?
Malika, just simply here, they just didn't feel the urgency to have to do this now. And we reported that Giannis has really been made it known to the Bucks that it's time for a new home in the this deadline or in the offseason, but without putting that pressure on Milwaukee to have a deal done before the rest of the season, the Bucks are able to extend this and go into the offseason where both sides are expected to revisit a deal again. They have been signaling to teams throughout here that they still want to add, with a little bit to go before the deadline. But the biggest thing for the Bucks, they're going to have more draft capital going forward in the offseason to potentially trade. They're going to potentially have a good draft pick of their own if they can. They're currently out of the play-in tournament as well. And they have not given up the idea of salvaging the Giannis era here in Milwaukee. It's going to be a tension point here for the rest of the season, though. Giannis does expect to play. He's out with that calf strain right now. He does want to play at some point again through the rest of the season, regardless if the Bucks are in a play-in tournament potential or not. That is going to create just a sort of a different, views here with the Bucks maybe trying to get a position for a draft pick and Giannis hoping to compete and win as many games as possible before the end of the season. But where we stand currently, Giannis is going to remain a Buck, and these two sides are going to sort of revisit this thing in the offseason and see where exactly both sides land up.
Jamal, I hear you say this could create some different views. That sounds maybe like a gulf between what the Milwaukee Bucks need, which is a high draft pick, and Giannis Antetokounmpo wanting to be on the floor, which is exactly who Giannis is and why we all enjoy watching him play so very much. Jamal, thank you for that insight. Rona, did I hear that right, though? That sounds like a pretty big gap between Giannis wanting to be on the floor and the Milwaukee Bucks knowing as much as they want to continue to build around Giannis, they kind of need that top pick.
Yeah, I think that was some of the leverage here and the urgency for the Bucks to do a deal, but that's obviously not because the guy, Giannis, he's not going to sit out. Look, I talked to one of the teams that was trying to get Giannis, and they said they never felt Milwaukee was all that serious about dealing with because that team, they didn't say what they wanted for Giannis. They just said, you don't have enough. There was no, usually when teams are serious about making a trade, they say, we want at least 4 picks. We want 2 good young players. There was never the counter there. And I think part of that is because of what's going on organizationally there. There's Wes Edens is the controlling owner there. Jimmy Haslam has a lot of shares there. And I think there was some owner-to-owner conversation with Jimmy Haslam involved, but Wes Edens is the controlling owner.
Did it ever get serious? What it sounds like you're saying is it never really got to a serious stage with anybody.
I think serious enough that the Bucks listened, serious enough that they had conversations, and that was almost a non-starter before this last little period here. But if you're not really making counters, if you don't tell other teams, here's the red line. You cross that line, you got a deal. Then you're not all that serious about it. And the person who I spoke to, they said, when you're going to make a trade, you do what Memphis did, right? Okay, we're going to trade Jaren Jackson Jr. We want 3 picks.
Say what you want.
Say what you want.
Yep.
They never said what they want in a way that they would actually do a deal.
And now we're here. So I guess, Coach, how the heck? I'm going to put you in Doc Rivers' shoes, right? Giannis wants to play when he's healthy, when he's better. That 4 to 6 week mark puts him sometime maybe March, right? Giannis wants to play. The organization doesn't. What the heck do you do?
Hey, we had Doc on recently, and he said he couldn't wait for the trade deadline to be over. Well, sorry, Doc, this is not going away.
This is going to continue.
So this is going to continue to be there. And my thing is this, I want my cake and eat it too. So Giannis is saying we've come to a point where I think I need to go elsewhere because I want to win a championship. So if I'm Milwaukee, I'm saying, cool, we understand that. But we have to do what's best for our future. So we've done everything we can. This is coming to an end. And part of the future is getting the best draft pick in a great draft coming up. So that's an honest conversation and one that needs to be had
So you wouldn't
immediately.
play him?
Because if we're making a decision and Giannis says, I want out, cool, we'll send you out. But we got to do what's best for us now. It's no longer about what's best for Giannis. We have to protect our organization and our fans and our future. And that's getting a pick in a loaded draft.
Well, all of those discussions will play out based on if he plays or not. And if he plays, the conversation is we might try to do something